Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hoge, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
Hi, I'm AJ Hoge, the author of Effortless English, Learn to Speak English Like a Native, and the father of the Effortless English system that trains you to speak English powerfully, speak English fluently, think in English, speak English effortlessly. When you commit, you must commit, of course, when you commit to my VIP program today at effortlessenglishclub.com. That's where you go to commit, effortlessenglishclub.com. Join us, VIP members, our big VIP international family is worldwide, international. We have members in countries all over the world, all different cultures, all different countries, all different ages. Such a great, positive group of people, all training, committing to English success, English speaking success. And we have so many members who already have had great, just amazing success speaking fluently, speaking so powerfully and confidently because they had that commitment, they committed. And also just that great positive attitude, really enjoying English, enjoying the lessons. That's part of it too. You know, part of committing is committing with a happy heart. I make the Effortless English, the VIP lessons, all of my courses, in fact. I try to make them as fun and happy and positive as possible. You add your positive, enthusiastic attitude, and it's a happy commitment. It's a happy commitment. You're happy as you improve each month. And of course, you're happy with that great success. And then you share that happiness with others. Commit to my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com. effortlessenglishclub.com. Join today. Now, the opposite of happiness, of course, unhappiness, which has different forms, different kinds. We've been talking a lot about loneliness, for example, this great loneliness I believe we live in historically, in terms of history. You know, talking about large numbers of people and thousands of years, as far as we know, the history going back a few thousand years. We live in probably the most lonely time ever, which is strange in a way when you think about it, because in some ways, I mean, our communication technology is certainly the greatest ever. We have telephones, we have video calling apps, we have email, social media, all that stuff, which is nice if you use it well, if you use it in a good and positive way. But sadly, we're also incredibly isolated now. Now, of course, you know, we're talking very generally, always exceptions. You can always say, what about this? What about this? But very generally, in the past, I look at my own ancestors, for example. I have talked about my own family history. My family history is the recorded family history, the family history that we know, definitely is over 900 years old. So it's quite interesting. I'm quite happy. My grandmother did a lot of work researching it. It's very interesting to me. And the thing I can see is that immediately is that my ancestors, right? Ancestors are people who came before you in your family. Right? I mean, you know, technically your mom and dad are your ancestors. Your grandparents are your ancestors. Your great grandparents are your ancestors, and then going back, generations and generations, hundreds of years, thousands of years. Those are all of your ancestors. So I can look at my ancestors and I see that, automatically when they were born, even if they were the oldest, within a few years, they were part of a large family. This was the normal thing. Not just my family, this was the normal thing around the world. Large families. So, of course, that meant, number one, you had lots of brothers and sisters, but it also meant you probably had a lot of uncles and aunts, probably had a huge number of cousins. And, of course, grandparents, possibly great-grandparents, too, alive for much of your life. So automatically, without trying, without needing to date, without needing any kind of, skill or ability, or without joining any group, automatically born as a baby into this big family, this big group, automatically. We might call that a clan. A clan, C-L-A-N. You can also look, at history in lots of countries around the world. Most, in fact, almost all, when you go back into history, that these nations, the kingdoms, they were based on clans. Clans are just huge connected families. My ancestors came from Scotland, and Scotland's very famous for its clans, the Scottish clans. Japan also, where I'm talking to you from right now, I'm in Japan right now, also had a clan structure, these huge families. So there really was no point of, or no situation where you were lonely. I mean, automatically you were surrounded by this family, and of course, also, people stayed near each other. They weren't moving across the country or around the world so much then. And so this was automatic, growing up as a child. You just had these incredibly strong, powerful family connections. So many of them in your community. You were automatically part of a community from when you were born until you died. Even if you never got married and never had kids yourself, this was automatic. And now, of course, we have the exact opposite, where in many countries, people have one, maybe two children, where families move far away and they're isolated and separated, and we have this incredible, terrible loneliness that is so common now. And while Facebook's nice and all these other social media are nice, they're not enough. They cannot replace real face-to-face family and those deep connections. Social media is great if you already have those connections. When you already have that big family, and which might include your close friends, a nice big clan. You have that, and then you can use technology to stay connected with them. Maybe you take a trip, and you can call back home with video. Yeah, all that's really nice. But just Facebook friends that you've never met in person, that you have not known a long time, they're not real friends, right? They're kind of more like acquaintances, which is okay, but it's not enough. We need those big face-to-face tribes, groups, families, clans. So we have this great loneliness now. And I think this also leads to a great amount of frustration, which is connected. This frustration of this feeling of weakness, of feeling like you're, like your life's not important. right? There's kind of weakness, there's low confidence. I see it with young people a lot. I had the same problem when I was young. I think it's each generation, I think, is getting worse and worse and worse. I can look at my grandparents' generation. They were more confident, more happy, less lonely. Then I look at my parents' generation. Big change at that generation. Then my own, right? And then the one after me, they're called the millennials, and we call them in English. Oh my God, they have a lot of problems. They really do. I feel bad for them. They're kind of a lost generation in some ways. The confidence is so low, the frustration, the isolation, the confusion, this feeling of no purpose. So we're in a situation around the world, everywhere in the world now, where on one hand, we have the greatest material, right, physical things, the greatest material wealth, abundance, technology ever that we know. Looking at the written history, right? We have computers and cars and airplanes and rockets and all this stuff. Of course, we live like kings from 1,000 years ago with our electricity and air conditioning and heating and all that. And at the same time, we're in a spiritual dark age. A spiritual dark age. Where spiritually, emotionally, we're horrible. It's a terrible time. All you have to do, look at music. Look at music, for example. Popular music now. Compare it to, let's just say, the classical music of Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, Tchaikovsky, etc. The ugliness of not just music, but of all human art and creativity now. We have fallen so low because we're in a spiritual dark age. Our buildings, our architecture is ugly. Our music is ugly. And even more than ugly, in many ways, pornographic, right? Immoral, disgusting. Morally and spiritually, we're in a dark age, which is why people feel so depressed and frustrated and lonely, and they feel like they have no meaning, no purpose, bored. All of these things. So we face all of that, and then we have to ask the question, what can we do? But the more difficult question is, what can I do? What can I do? It seems too big, this problem, right? I mean, I look at this myself. I can look at my own country and just how disgusting the culture is now. It's sad to me. You can even see it in the bodies, the physical bodies of people. I visit America, and they're sick and fat and horrible and disgusting. It's this spiritual dark age you can see it with your eyes in the bodies of human beings. Something's very wrong. But the problem is so big. The lies of the media, the fake news, the fake schools. And they say, what can I do? It's so big. I don't have power. I'm not rich. What to do? It can feel kind of depressing, right? I mean, I know I have felt this. Sometimes I do feel it. Where it's like, what can I do? I want to fight against this. I want to do the right thing. I want to do everything I can to go against these terrible things. But it all seems so huge, so big, and I'm just one person. I have a podcast. I teach English. Right? Each of us, maybe we feel kind of small. This week, a couple days ago, I found a new YouTube channel. It's quite nice. It's called Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma. It's a YouTube channel. Very nice. Sanatana means eternal, like forever. So forever Dharma. And Dharma just means way, like natural way. So it's like the forever or the eternal natural way. That's one way you could translate it. It comes from Sanskrit, from the ancient, very old Indian language, Sanatana Dharma. I think most people in the East know the word Dharma, probably, because it's used in a lot of languages. But it's kind of, this channel, it's kind of quite similar to what we have been talking about, this idea of natural law. That was what the Romans called it, natural law. I think the Greeks called it something like physis, which I believe is the root word for physics. I might be wrong about that, but I think so. The natural law of the universe. Spiritually and morally and physically. That's the idea of this word. Natural law or Sanatana Dharma. Anyway. The guy, the teacher, told a great story. It's connected to this problem of feeling so small, like what to do when you feel like you're small, but the problems of the world are so huge. What to do? So it's a story from the Ramayana. Ramayana is the story of Rama. All Indians know who Rama is, and I think a lot of Thais will know Rama as well. Rama was a great king, ancient king, Rama. But more than that, Rama was basically like a form of God. So basically God coming down into human form. Quite similar, by the way, to the Christian idea of Jesus, right? That Jesus is not just a man, right? He is God as a man, okay? So he has many of the limitations, most of the limitations of a human being to exist here in our, as a person, but is actually God. And we call this an incarnation, which means like to come into. So the idea of this, of God coming down as an incarnation, is that God comes down as a human to guide us, to help us when we need him. This is the idea. So Rama, great hero, but much more than just a hero. Okay, actually, God in human form. In the Ramayana is a huge story, but the basic idea of it, it's probably the heart of the story, is a great war. So Rama has a wife, Sita, this beautiful wife, and a demon, this super powerful demon, like devil, right? Very, 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 very powerful, evil. Took his wife away to Lanka, which is Sri Lanka, right? The island of Sri Lanka, just south of India. Kidnapped her, took her away. And Rama found out, and of course he's super upset. He's very upset about this. This evil demon took his wife. And he, of course, decides he's going to go to war because this demon has a huge army. It's very strong. So Rama, he goes around and he also collects an army. He forms an army. And they go down to the south of India and they have to get across. They have to get the whole army. How do they get the whole army across to Sri Lanka to attack the demons and get his wife back. Well, they decide to build a bridge from South India all the way over to Sri Lanka, that's a pretty big bridge. That's a really huge bridge. Now, Rama, he has lots of heroes with him, of course, following him. And one of the strongest, maybe the strongest hero and friend of Rama is Hanuman. Hanuman is super powerful. Right? Very, 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 very strong. Okay, so he's so strong, for example, that Hanuman can lift up mountains. Right? So Hanuman starts to help to build this bridge. So he goes and he's picking up big, huge hills and big mountains and throwing them into the ocean. Right? And they sink down to the ocean. Then he goes and he gets another one. And then all these other great heroes, they're picking up these huge, huge, giant rocks and throwing them into the ocean. Right? And they're filling up the ocean to create the bridge over to Sri Lanka. To attack Sri Lanka. Get his wife back. Attack the demons. These great, super powerful heroes. More than just heroes, really. I guess, like what you might call them almost like angels or demigods, which means kind of like almost gods. Kind of, like nowadays you can imagine like something like Superman, right? If you've seen the movie Superman, right? Superman can fly, he can lift up huge things. He's super, super, super powerful. That's what these heroes are like that are serving Rama, that are in Rama's army. And of course, on the other side, the demons are also quite powerful, very similar. So they're working on it. Boom, boom. They're throwing these mountains and gigantic rocks, huge rocks into the ocean, creating this bridge for the army. Hanuman, he's got this big mountain. He throws it into the ocean. And it sinks down, right? And then after he throws the big mountain into the ocean, he looks down. He looks down at the ground, at the bridge so far, right? He looks down, he sees a tiny, tiny, super small little spider. A little spider. He kind of notices it. And then he notices something, that this little spider is trying to help. The little spider is walking over, picking up a little, tiny, very, 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 very small rock we call a pebble. A pebble is a tiny rock, a very small rock. So the spider picks up this little pebble and then walks over to the edge, of the edge of the bridge, because, they have some part of the bridge, but not finished yet. Walks over and then throws the tiny pebble into the water. And then the little spider walks back, picks up another little tiny pebble, carries it to the edge, throws it in the water. And Hanuman laughs. He thinks this is super, super funny, right? Because, Hanuman is picking up mountains and throwing them into the ocean. And the other heroes are picking up these huge rocks and throwing them into the ocean. And this spider is picking up just super tiny. And he laughs and he says, "Spider, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And the spider says, "I'm helping Rama build the bridge." And Hanuman laughs at him again, he's like, "Okay, that's nice, but just stop. Just stop. You're not helping. You're not doing anything. Look at these great heroes. Look at them. Look at these huge rocks they're throwing in. Look at me. I just threw a mountain into the ocean. Your little tiny pebble is nothing." And Rama, the king, God, hears Hanuman say this. And he says, "No, Hanuman, you are wrong. You are wrong. This spider is serving me, helping me with all his heart. with complete 100% devotion and love. Right? Devotion means like loyalty. His devotion, his love for me is just as important as yours, Hanuman. It doesn't matter how big the rocks are. It's what's inside his heart, his true love and devotion for me. That's what's important. He is serving me as much as you are. Hanuman is a great hero, and Hanuman immediately realizes his mistake. He apologizes. I'm sorry. He says he apologizes to the spider. Of course, he knows Rama is correct. So he apologizes, and then the spider, goes and picks up another little pebble, and throws it in the ocean. And it keeps going. And by the way, I don't know if you're curious, of course, they fight the war, and Rama, they win. Rama wins and gets his wife back, of course. Well, I just love this story. Such a great story. Really, really fantastic. Because it answers the question, what can I do? What can you do? Against great evil, against huge problems. What can you do? You and I, we're not like Hanuman, right? We're not great big world leaders. We're not superheroes. We're probably more like the spider. So what can you do? Exactly what the spider was doing. You fight for your family. You fight for your people. You fight for your home. You fight for truth and virtue. In the smallest way, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter how powerful you are. That's not what's important. It doesn't matter if others are doing big, big, big things. It's not important. You do what you can, right? Our code, you do the best you can. You do the best you can. Just as Rama said, it was the quality, not the amount, not the quantity, right? We have this in English. Quantity means amount, number. Quantity. And then we have quality, which is the excellence or the goodness of something, or its nature. It's the quality that's important. The quantity, the amount the spider was throwing in, not important to Rama. And remember, Rama in this story is finally God. So it's saying that what's important to God is not how much you do, how big you are, how strong you are, how powerful you are. It's the quality, right? This is what Rama teaches Hanuman. It's the quality inside the spider's heart and Hanuman's heart too. That's what's important. Ultimately, finally, in this story, to God. You could say to the universe. You can, I don't know, doesn't matter what words you use, but you understand. It's the quality that's important. And maybe you can see now why so many of us suffer. So many people suffering. Not so much physically, but emotionally, spiritually. Because we live in a time of quantity. We have so much. We have so many things. Lots and lots and lots. Many, many, many. Too much, really. But the quality is no good. We have lots of buildings, but they're ugly. Lots of art, and it's super ugly. Lots of music, most of it ugly. Quality. It's what's in your heart. That's what you can do. That's what you can do. It doesn't matter. You can be small and poor and simple, but if you have that pure heart and that desire to contribute, that real desire to contribute, to help, to contribute to, right, your family, your people, your home, as best you can, that's enough. It's more than enough. That's Rama's message here. So you fight the best you can. You fight for, you contribute to the people around you right there. You don't need to go around the world, to help people. You don't need to help some strangers, or you don't have to volunteer to help homeless people or poor people or some group, right, with a name and a charity. You don't need to do that. Start with the people right there with you, your own family. Your people, meaning your greater family, right? Your bigger family, cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents. Also think about your descendants. That's the opposite of ancestors. Your descendants, those are your family that comes after you. Your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, all the generations, all the people who come after you. Fight for them, serve them, help them. Your home, meaning your community right there, your little town, even smaller, your neighborhood. You can see on social media there's a lot of virtue signaling. This is a phrase in English, kind of a little bit slang. Virtue signaling. To signal means to show. To show. Virtue signaling means to show your virtue. Show your virtue. So you see it constantly you'll see it on Facebook all the time. Twitter too. So for example, people will post something on Facebook, save the children, or save this group, or save that group. Pray for this, pray for that. Fight racism, fight this. Very public, very public. It's fake virtue. It's fake virtue. It's not real. They're not actually good people doing that. I mean, they might be, but they probably are not, because that's nothing. Just posting something on Facebook is meaningless. It doesn't help anybody. It's just a way to look good. It's ego. They're just trying to show, look at me, I'm such a good person because I care about this. Caring is meaningless. Caring doesn't do anything, especially fake caring like that. It's your actions. It's the quality, right? The spider didn't just care. The spider was doing the work. For the spider, that was difficult work. Picking up those little rocks was hard work for that little spider. It was hard. The spider was doing that hard work the best he could. He did what he could. He did the best he could, and he did what he could. He couldn't lift up mountains, so he didn't even try, because it was impossible for him, but he could lift up pebbles, so that's what he lifted up, and that's what he did. He did the work. He did his little part to serve Rama, to serve good, to serve his people, to serve his God. So I often think that people the farther you go to help people, the more fake it probably is. Because it's, in a way, it's just so much easier. It's easy to post something online. It's even fairly easy just to volunteer, because it's just like a job. You volunteer for a charity. It's hard to help someone in your family who's struggling, who maybe has maybe some emotional issues, and now you have to really communicate. Now you're helping a real person, and maybe you disagree with them sometimes, and they disagree with you, and you have a lot of differences, and now that's much more difficult. But it's real. It's a real face-to-face person. It's a real relationship. And sometimes it's a challenge. But that's why you can use these skills we're learning, right, in the book. I mean, start with your own family. Start with your husband or wife. Start with your children. Start with your parents if they're alive. Do everything you can to make the quality of those relationships as beautiful and wonderful as possible. And the same thing, do things for your people. You don't need to serve other people and outsiders. Start with your people. Fight for them. Fight for your traditions. Fight for your culture. Serve your culture. Contribute, right? Add something positive and good to it. Make your town a better place. Make your country a better place. Defend them. Fight for truth. This is a difficult one because we live in an age of lies. When you tell the real truth, that hard red pill truth, I guarantee you're going to be attacked. You will be attacked online. I don't mean physically attacked, although that's possible, but I mean verbally attacked. People are going to yell at you and argue with you and disagree with you, and they don't like it. We live in a time when people are surrounded, and all of us, not just people, me and you too, all of us are surrounded by lies, living in lies. Our schools teach lies. Our media and news are completely full of lies. Lies, lies, lies. It's hard to find the truth. And when you do, people don't like to hear it. So telling the truth, there's something you can do for quality. That's, your little pebble, lifting it up, just telling the truth as best you can. Again, it's not easy. It might feel small, but it's important. Living a virtuous life, developing true character, true virtue inside yourself, being truly moral and virtuous. All those classic virtues, developing them in you, making them stronger, living your life with virtue. That's high quality. That's important. That's serving the universe. That's serving God. That's serving truth. It's also not easy. We live in a time period where you will not be supported. Okay? Probably, the culture around you does not support virtue. Nowhere in the media will you be taught virtue. Quite the opposite, right? Most people around you will think you're crazy if you try to be very self-disciplined. It's something as simple as food and health and fitness. In America, for example, if you're very, very, very self-disciplined with your food, you're very disciplined with eating healthy food and exercising, doing everything you can to have the healthiest possible life. A lot of people will act like you're crazy. They'll criticize you. Oh, you're a health nut. Means you're health crazy. Oh, come on. Just eat some of this. It doesn't matter. Right? All the people around you are going to be unhealthy. Most of them. They're not going to support your virtue. Young people, you go to college, you go to university. Again, in the United States, and I think probably many places. You're going to be surrounded by people just getting drunk constantly, right? Party, going out on the weekends, even during the week, and drinking and getting super drunk. And if you decide not to drink at all, again, they're going to, what's wrong with you, right? They're going to criticize you. Virtue's not cool. Telling the truth, as I already mentioned, that's a virtue. Again, a lot of people aren't going to like it, okay? So just living a virtuous life, again, it seems small. It's maybe you feel like, well, I'm not solving the big national problems. I'm not solving the big political problems, but you are still doing something very important, just like that spider. Because most people don't choose to live virtuously. So as a mom, as a dad, as a friend, live virtuously. In your job or business, live virtuously. As a leader, online and offline, face to face, live virtuously. Fight for your people. Fight for your family. Fight for your home. Fight for truth. Fight for virtue. What matters is your heart, your right effort. Right here means correct, good, moral. Your right effort, your correct effort, your moral effort. The quality in your heart, your virtue, your courage, your loyalty, your faith, your devotion. Don't worry about the size of your actions, okay? Focus on that. The size of your actions actually will grow. Because as you develop this virtue, as you develop your courage, your loyalty, your faith, your devotion, your heart, as you develop that, as you develop those, you will get stronger, you will get wiser, and your influence, your leadership ability will naturally grow. You will naturally affect more people. You will naturally influence more people. Even without trying, you just will. Focus on the quality inside of you. That's that message. That's the message that Rama was teaching Hanuman. It's also the message from our book, that introduction of that book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It was the same message, just told in a different way. Heart, right effort, correct, good effort, moral effort, wise effort, your virtue, your courage, your loyalty, your faith, your devotion to. Your devotion to your family, your devotion to your people, your devotion to your home, your devotion to truth and goodness. All right. Commit to my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com. Commit with self-discipline, yes. Commit with energy, yes. Commit with enthusiasm, yes. And happiness as well. Speak English fluently. Speak English powerfully. Speak English confidently. Think in English. Speak English effortlessly. Join my VIP program. Commit to my VIP program. Go now to effortlessenglishclub.com. Go to effortlessenglishclub.com. Go now. effortlessenglishclub.com. Mwah.